Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be the last of a series of videos where I'm talking about different products and tools that I've gotten to try out and use for making miniatures. And this one's going to be, in my opinion, the best home laser all around. If you're interested in laser cutting or engraving and you want to spend your money on something that's quality but not overkill, and it's also easy to use, I think this is exactly what you want. If you've been around the channel for a while, you've seen me use a couple different lasers. I've also had access to industrial sized ones at a makerspace locally. And so far, the features have gotten better and better each year with different models coming out. But I finally think we're at the point where I can really say, even if you haven't used a laser before, this might be the one to go with. This is the xTool S1 laser cutter. I've shown the laser cutter or two on the channel before. I'm actively using the last one from Creality, but this one has a lot of upgrades and features in a similar price point that make it way more worth it. I'm really excited to get this going and to talk to you all about it. If you know anything about laser cutters and engravers, xTool has been pretty much the main name in the home laser market. Any of these smaller units, they have a higher quality to them. They push the features out faster for the most part. And I really think this one is finally pretty much the most feature-packed and easy to use home laser in this pretty compact and streamlined package. For a while now, I've been using the Creality Falcon 2 inside of an enclosure from Creality in my basement. And as you can see, it's a little bit of a bigger footprint. It's less feature-packed, it's more annoying. This thing comes with everything you pretty much need and then some. Obviously, it has a built-in enclosure and it's way more compact and easy to move around. I really don't like the enclosures that you have to put around those open gantry style lasers. They're big, they're bulky, they're more annoying to use, it's harder to get pieces in and out. This is so streamlined, you can just open the case and close it and everything is all in one. There's very little assembly as well. A lot of the other lasers come with a whole bunch of assembly. I really only had to put the laser unit in and unscrew a couple things to make sure everything was ready to go. One really big thing that I think is awesome about this laser is that when you're using it in their software, which like I said, is actually pretty fully featured. Normally I recommend just going to Lightburn, but if you use their software, you can actually manually move the laser head around and it will stay in the right spot in the software. And you can even create points within the software by physically moving the laser to show exactly how much work area you have and then put your designs into it. So if you're trying to just fit some things into an off piece, instead of having to do it all manually, you can bring it in and I'll show you exactly how to do that in a few minutes. The other thing that's obviously nice is there's LED bars in here to light up everything so you can see it better. You can see it a little better when it's working to make sure everything's in the right spot and nothing's going wrong. And my other favorite thing about this is it does have a crosshair laser to really match it up to an exact point on your piece. So much easier than kind of the guessing game that you have under these other lasers that don't have a matching point. The one thing this doesn't have is a camera like some units like a Glowforge would have, so you could actually see your piece. But with the other features that this has, especially within its own software, I tend not to want it anyway. This is also the 40-watt version, so I can cut really thick material like my 1/4-inch MDF and even thicker if I want to. This thing is very fast and efficient and can actually be very powerful for a home diode laser. xTool sent me the bundle that came with the honeycomb grid, some little magnet tie downs, and the air assist, which is all things that I really would recommend getting. It makes the entire experience so much better. Air assist, especially with the 40-watt laser, is a must in my opinion, especially for cutting things. And unless you're doing something very specific, this setup is going to get 95% of your jobs done well. If you weren't sure what I meant about air assist is basically shooting air through the nozzle where the laser is, pumping air onto the piece to help keep flames from popping up and keep the workpiece clean. I almost forgot to talk about a feature that I actually really love, which is an autofocus feature. With most of these cheaper lasers, you have to manually focus the laser so that the laser is going to converge at the right point to be able to cut effectively and engrave in sharp detail. With the S1 in the Creative Space software, you can just hit a button and it has this little magnet probe on the side it just goes down and measures and automatically sets that distance for you. Now I'd like to show you one of my favorite features of their creative space software, which is marking your workspace. I can go over to the Start Marking button, and it brings up a window, and I can choose what kind of shape I'm going to mark. Then I physically go over to the laser, and I can move it manually. When I got it in the position for that first mark, I can hit the button, and it marks that point in the software. Then I can go to the bottom right corner of my rectangle and hit the button again, and it creates a square showing me how much space I have. So if I go back to my design and I bring in what I want to cut, I can see I don't have quite enough room in that area that I marked out. So if I go back and redo it, I can know exactly how much space I have and then tell it to cut that design out of that space. So I click process and it gives me a preview of what the laser is going to do. And then I tell it to start, and it won't start until I walk over and actually push the button. The preview also tells me how long it thinks it's going to take to cut, and obviously this is a sped up version. You can see as I pull this out though, just the incredible detail and the tiny little pieces that it was able to cut from the 16th inch MDF. And the best part, this was an actual preset profile from xTool. I didn't even have to set any settings myself. So next I actually went ahead and cut all 3 different layers of this piece. It was a file that I bought off of Etsy. They all are designed to layer together. And cutting them out at this small scale just shows you the incredible detail that you can get with this laser. Obviously, I have a lot of ideas to mess around with some miniatures with this guy in the future. So now I thought I would take some 1/4 inch MDF, which is much more difficult for a laser to cut through, and do the same design. In xTool software, I was able to tell it to adjust the focus a little lower to make the point in the middle of this thicker piece, which helps it cut deeper and thicker materials. And I started off by marking the area of the wood so I knew exactly where I could put it and all that. For this first run, I tried it at 100% power and 7 millimeters per second. I've had some success with these settings on other lasers with this thick of a material, but not always great, so I wanted to see how it would perform. And as you can see, it pretty much worked perfectly, even with this very intricate design with lots of curves and things. I had to punch a lot of it out, so maybe if I upped it a tiny bit, they would fall out a lot easier, but it came out really clean, as you can see. I'm pretty sure you could cut even a thicker material without too much issue just by slowing it down a little bit. Alright, so I want you guys to tell me what you think about this laser and what other questions you might have with it in the comments. Overall, this thing has been so much of a dream to assemble, to run, to learn even the software. It's been an actually really good experience, whereas most of the other lasers I've tried over time, they've had good features here and there, but there's been big issues that I've had with it. There are very few issues that I have with this one. Mostly, I just love it. I think for all of the features that it gives and how user-friendly it is definitely at the top of my list to recommend to people. Of course, it is not a cheap tool, but if you're looking for something like this, this is going to get you into the world of laser cutting and engraving with quality and make it easy for you to learn. It's definitely a plus that it looks nice and it is so streamlined in that package. You don't have to fiddle with a whole bunch of other different setups to make it work in a workshop or a basement. And the 40-watt laser module in this model has super good performance so far. Obviously, there's going to be maintenance along the way, but as of right now, it's working the same, if not better, than similar powered lasers that I've worked with in the past. So you'll definitely be seeing a lot more of this laser in projects coming on the channel in the very near future. Speaking of the future, I want to share with you something that I just worked on. This is an old abandoned mansion in Virginia, and I got to film it for the foundation that's trying to restore it. Selfishly, I wanted to go and visit it and capture it on camera so that I could also create a miniature of it, and so that is one big project I'm hoping to tackle right away this summer. I have a link in the description to the video that I made for them, as well as their GoFundMe campaign that's trying to raise some funds to have this place restored. And as you can already see, it's an incredible building with hundreds of years of history. I even got to bring over my fog machine and some lights to create shots that look a lot like what I usually use miniatures for. So it was a really awesome time. and I hope you guys can get excited about this project along with me. Big thanks to xTool for sending me the S1. It is definitely going to be seen on this channel many more times. I have so many ideas for this next mansion project and others, and the efficiency of the workflow that I can get with that machine specifically has got me excited. Definitely check out in the description xTool and the mansion project that I had done, and hopefully eagerly await my miniature project of it. I have some really interesting out-of-the-box ideas for it that I think you're going to enjoy. As always, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.